what's going on YouTube? It's Donnie PLD. So, my hair looks like crap. So here's the deal. I was asked to do a video on my top 3 choices of blades for the zombie apocalypse. Ooh. So, if there was a zombie apocalypse, and if it came down to it, and I could only have 3 blades, and I had to carry 3 blades all the time, what 3 would I carry? And at first I thought to myself, this would be pretty easy. I could just D-bat it out. I could be like, well, give me the Big Jim. Golly, guys, if you don't have a D-bat Big Jim, this is my ultimate grail knife. I'm so happy I have it. But if you do not have a Big Jim, I'm telling you, you are slow. So I could just D-bat it out and go with one of those. And then I could go with the D-bat Nepalese Gladiator, a little harder to obtain, this one and some others. And then I could just pick another one and just go crazy all out. But then I have to think, if I have to carry 3 blades, carrying these 2 alone, man, I didn't like, my pants would always be on my ankles and it would slow me down, right? So I had to think realistically, could I survive a zombie apocalypse if I just had 1 blade to carry? Could either one of these be the one? Abso-freaking-lutely. Abso-freaking-lutely. One of those could do the job of keeping you alive any day of the damn week. But I had to be realistic. I had to. So one of my thoughts was this guy right here. I gotta open it. Oh, God, that noise. Oh, yeah. Yeah, you guys know what it is. The Cold Steel Extra Large Espada. I started thinking to myself, this would be a really good one. And then I started thinking to myself, maybe not. While it's easy to carry because it can go in a pocket, and that way I would always have it available, and I wouldn't have to worry about losing it as much as some of the others. It was still, I got to think, this is the zombie apocalypse. My hair looks like hell. That's what happens when I wear a hood to the gym. It's a zombie apocalypse, and think about this. You are going to have less of ability to get stuff in the zombie apocalypse. Anything with a moving part requires more maintenance. So if I really had to have a blade, do I want something that's going to take a little bit more maintenance than something else? Not really. Plus, it's a hollow grind. And just because the TV shows you, oh, by the way, Michael Myers, Jason, thank you. Hey, it's the Johnsons. Just because the movies show that you can walk up to a zombie and just whoosh, with a knife and cut off his head, and it's still a skull. People don't seem to realize that the TV and movies is a lot different than real life. Trying to go through an actual skull and using it like repetitively to go through an actual skull, I would not want a hollow grind. And I know there's Cold Steel heads out there. Cold Steel. You can't say anything bad about Cold Steel. Even though they're very inconsistent, that's the problem is I would not trust a Cold Steel heat treat without having tested it first. Like this one I know is good. It's just good. But I have some that aren't good. You get a lot that are sold dull. So if I had to pick up a knife, I would want to make sure it's ready to go right away with no issues. I would not pick this Cold Steel, right? Does that mean I wouldn't pick another Cold Steel? It doesn't mean that. But I don't have any to pick because this would have been the best one. So this one I had to X out. One of my favorite blades of all time. I had to say no. I had to. So now I have like 4 options left. And it's like real world options that I had to think in my head. This is for like to keep me alive, right? And I took it serious because I went into it like I'm going into Afghanistan. All right, if I'm faced with the enemy, what can I use to make sure 100% that I'm the one that walks away? And so I could have went with all kinds of fantasy stuff. I could have went with a bunch of blah, blah, blah. But I can't because I have to take it very seriously. I have to keep in mind, all right, can I sharpen it? Is it going to be strong? Is it going to be easy to grab? Is it going to be easy to carry? You know what I mean? You got to think about all that stuff. So just saying, oh yeah, I'd take these because this is a wicked nasty blade. Oh, because it's freaking awesome. All right, awesome is great. Awesome is great, but awesome is great for certain things, right? When it comes down to this decision, it takes a little bit more than just awesome. And this is my favorite knife of all time forever. This wouldn't be my choice. This is my number one favorite knife of all time. Beyond everything else, this wouldn't be my choice. So I had to think realistic. So I was thinking, all right, well, with a skull and going through things like that, you have two options. You have a thinner blade and a thicker blade, right? And the thinner blade, you have to think, is going to be light and fast, so you're going to be able to swipe right through. A heavy blade is going to be thick and heavy. It's going to be hefty, so when you hit, it's going to hit with more power, right? So I had to think power to weight and this and that, and then I picked up this guy, and I was like, my TRS Buccaneer machete. And I'm thinking, okay, first of all, this could help against bites and things like that. It could help with having to punch something off of me, things like that. It's fast, it's light, it's really strong. I absolutely trust the edge. And I'm thinking for a long blade, this one really, really could work. This could come in handy in a mega way. So this was immediately one that I went to as far as for a zombie apocalypse. I need to cut a path through the woods. I need to cut a path through a head. I can trust a lot of this blade. It's very thin, so it should be able to go through something. Well, it does, because we tested it really easily, and it does. So that was an option for a long blade. I thought, it's really kind of hard to beat something like this for the zombie apocalypse. Is there a better machete? Sure. Is there a better big knife? Way better. But for the zombie, for what it's supposed to be used for, it's hard to beat that. It really is. So that was put to the side. And then I started thinking, all right, well, instead of a folding knife, because I had to consider weight, because if you're carrying 3 different weapons, you have to consider weight. I was thinking about this guy, the D-Bad War Machine, because the big blades are awesome, but when it comes to doing everything, even spreading butter, you know what I mean? Opening a can of ravioli that you found in a store somewhere, you need a blade that can do all your tasks outside of chopping the tops of heads off. Because remember, zombie apocalypse isn't just about killing, it's about surviving. So if I needed an ultimate survival tool, bam, I can use this to go through a skull, right? To stab through an eye, up through the chin, and I got to get to a brain. That's one. Plus, if there are living people who are trying to take from you, you need something that can fight, and that would be a second reason. But the fact that I can trench, I can hammer with it, you know what I mean? I can break things open with it, I can stab with it, but I can also process. You catch a deer, you need food, right? You catch a fish, you need food. It's really hard trying to take this guy to fillet a fish with, right? That's not gonna be your choice. But something like this, aha. So for the we got a scam calling. Scam. I love when they say, or spam or scam, but man, asses. So my very first choice of 3 blades would be the D-Bad War Machine. This thing would be 100% one of my choices if it came down to it. Why? Because I would take this into combat over any other blade. And if I'm talking about the zombie apocalypse, I'm talking about real world combat. This is my number one. Number one, 100%. So the first blade in my trio would be that. So then I started thinking, all right, realistically, I have a survival knife, a combat knife. Now I'm thinking I could use a long blade for reach. But what about those other things? What about like firewood, shelter building, all that kind of stuff, yet something that would still provide the ultimate protection and self-defense? I would take this over a knife in fighting. If it came down to you're fighting bladed weapons, give me this over any knife. I would take a tomahawk any day of the week. As far as throwing, this thing's going to be deadly. This guy right here, especially the CRKT Kanji T-Hawk, is sharpened all the way around the top. It has a sharpened spike and it has a sharpened blade. This thing I can use for getting down and cutting wood to fit pieces of wood together to make a cabin or to chop firewood. I could use it as an axe, but it's small enough to where I can comfortably carry it. And unlike most hawks, it's easy to get out of the sheath. Most of them you have to do this thing where you push them up and you go backwards. And no, this one's done right. This thing I know I can open a dome with because it's nice and thick and strong. True full tang all the way down. It's comfortable and it's not too heavy. Plus it has a nice end where I can use it for hammering onto things. Man, if I needed to lash right here and swing this thing around, I could do that. But this one right here would be a really good defense knife against the living who are trying to take your stuff. Because remember, zombie apocalypse doesn't just mean zombies. Now there are all kinds of enemies. You have wild animals out there that are starving. You have dogs out there that have not been fed in weeks and now their instincts have to take over. You have all kinds of things that you need to defend yourself. This right here is a great option, but it limits you in reach. This limits you in reach. These are close quarter combat type things, where this one has the ability to be more of an all-around user as far as survival techniques, where it comes to wood processing, food processing, shelter building, all kinds of shelter building, and just getting that wood that you're going to need. An axe would be very, very handy. A lot of people don't think about it. Do I want to take the time to chop down a tree with a machete? Great for brush. Great for brush. Not so much for trees. So this and that is like starting to cancel this one out. It's starting to. I'm thinking, all right, so I can chop through brush and I can slice through a head. That's really, really good. But it's pretty thin, and if I have to think about the living as well, I need to think about defense as well as offense, right? So the structuring of my thought has to really, really be in there. And I'm starting to say, okay, so maybe not the machete. Maybe not, maybe not that flexible blade. But this is a definite. So now I have 2 of my 3 zombie apocalypse must-have blades right here. These 2 right here are both the weight of this guy alone. So right here, these 2 right here are going to weigh the same as 1. All right, so that's fine. That's 2. Now I'm down to 1. And I still have this guy, easy to obtain, comes out of the sheath well, easy to carry, easy to use. It's fast, it's slim, it's sharp, it is flexible, and it will bend back. But is this the one? I have good reach with it. Not great reach with it, but I have good reach with it. I have the ability to go through brush, right? Not all the way down to the feet, but pretty close. And if I want to bend over, I'll get there. And I'm thinking that would be amazing, but is there an option better? Is there something that I can hit brush with and even go through, 1-inch trees, things like that, and be able to carve a path and be able to use it defensively to where I can take the top of a head off or go straight through a head, but still have it a defensive tool to where it's going to be strong enough to block an opposing weapon from a living, not just the dead, right? So I had to put this aside and I had to go here. Now, guys like Steel Fortune's Fire Sword and Knife and Samurai Bird and all these other guys, Hussein, they're all going to say, well, we know what that is right away. Of course you do. But there's one in particular that I would take. This right here is my Hanbone Forge wakizashi that I got to design. And it's a waki, not a katana. And there's a reason I would choose a waki, because I cannot control the area in which I'm going to be attacked. I cannot say, all right, hold on, before you try and bite me, or before you try and rob me of all my stuff, Let's get into a very wide open area so I have room to swing a 28-inch blade. I have room to handle a 40-inch weapon. No, you don't always have those chances. I could be somewhere cooped up in a little cabin where it's all tight little spots, or I could be in some apartment building or some old prison where it's all tight little narrow hallways. And maybe it's not feasible to have a very long weapon. But, okay, so what about something that I can get through brush? Bam. What about something that I can get through 1-inch trees? Bam. What about something that I can take off the top of a head? Bam. What about something that I can go straight through a head? Bam. What about something that's easy to control and would maintain close to my body? Bam. What about something that I can reach away from my body yet still have that control? Bam. The wakizashi is everything, right? And being a shorter blade, you have less of a chance of bending. You have less of a chance of breaking because there's less impact and torque being put in this area of the blade because it's hitting here, not way out here, where this is going to take more impact. This blade in particular, I have done nothing to this edge because I am not a katana sharpener. But as you can see, I have done tons of cutting with this blade. It is razor sharp. This thing is bad. There is zero shifting. There is zero wobbling. There is zero wobbling. I'm watching the katana guys go out there and they take this $1,000 blade and they cut with it and they'll get a little wobble and they'll say things like, oh, well, you know what? It's okay because sometimes that happens. It's just part of katana life and blah, blah, blah. And then they'll take a $100 katana and they'll get the same little loosening and they'll say, oh, it's trash because it's loosening. But that great katana you have that you love so much is also loosening, but it's great because it's cost more. No. This is 1060 high carbon steel. This is freaking just done right. It's all handmade, hand sharpened. The heat treat on this is immaculate. It is thick enough to where I can use it as a defensive tool. It is thin enough to where I can use it as an offensive head chopper and a machete. This one would definitely 100% above all others when it comes to zombie apocalypse. This would be my number one protection tool. 100% without a doubt, my number one protection tool in a zombie apocalypse would be a wakizashi, and not just any wakizashi. I really love this one. I have others. This one's just better. It's awesome. It can be a one-handed weapon. It can be a 1.5-handed weapon. It could be a 2-handed weapon if you really choke up. This thing is just absolutely sweet. So, and you can tie it onto any part of your body. You can tuck it into your belt. You can do it. It's easy to carry. The blade is easy to retrieve. It's easy to put back. It's easy to maintain. Everything about this is just phenomenal. It's everything I would want in a weapon to defend myself with, or if I have to be on the offensive end. You see that light going down? Ooh. This is the one. So, my zombie apocalypse collection would be the D-Bad War Machine. It would be the Kanji T-Hawk, and it would be the Hanbone Wakizashi of my own design. This, my friends, would be exactly what I would have on me during a zombie apocalypse. These three right here would take over the need for any other three. I can literally do everything with these three blades right here. I could even pick my nose if I wanted to. These things are awesome. So, I hope you liked the video. Who asked me if I would do this. And the reason I'm not shouting him out is because I don't remember who asked me. But this thing right here, this is my favorite katana, even though it's a wakizashi. It's my favorite katana that I own. I love it. I don't care what the blade snobs out there will tell you. This katana right here was, under 120 bucks, something like that. Because I was able to build my own. And if you go to Hanbone Forge, Hanbon, and you go to customize your own sword, you can make a sword and have one shipped to your house and get it for under 100 bucks. Under 100 bucks. Under 100 bucks. That is this quality. This is exactly what it is. All my fittings, crazy tight. Everything is tight. Every cut I've made is just flawless. This thing right here is an absolute beast, and it's gorgeous. It is gorgeous. So that's it for this one. Those are my three. My zombie apocalypse. I'll tell you what. If you come around the corner and try to rob me, I am going to dice your ass up. So that's it. Ta-da! Hi, I'm Donnie B all day. Till next video.